All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the judgment reveal for the Ironroot Chef here at the Community Cup. We're joined by our judges, Graham Stark, James Turner, and well, you know who I'm talking about.
Don't say it. Don't slow. You're in first floor.
Pronounce it.
I'm not going to try it again. That one time was too much. So the playing these Ironroot Chef decks is over. We saw some really interesting games. We saw some interesting cards, some cards we haven't seen in the standard format before. What was your overall impression, guys, of the decks?
There were some very impressive decks out there in terms of, like, from a flavor perspective.
Yep.
There's some very impressive ones.
For 30 minutes of deck building,
Yeah.
I think everybody did a really great job.
So
Though there were also some dull thuds.
I say everyone.
okay, well, you know, you're talking about flavor. Tell us about Björn Andreasson's deck.
All right, so Bjorn was running Whims of the Fates. So he comboed that with a Triad of the Fates and little else that really sort of we felt worked with Whims of the Fates
Like-
from a flavor perspective.
4 pack rats. No.
4 pack rats.
No.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why he wasted our time with this. I've seen more flavor on a piece of gum stuck to the bottom of my sandal. I hope you enjoyed triggering Ashen Rider as Afro Necromancer, because there was nothing fun about this deck list. So, this was a big fat 0 for me. Goose egg.
He's
I hope
revealing.
you have a nice trip back to Sweden, but you won't be welcome to my plane at any time.
So the total score for Bjorn's deck was
3.
3.
3 points. You got 0 from, and then 1 point and 2 points.
Yeah.
Cross.
My earthen colleagues are too generous.
We see who the harsh judge is.
Sitting in the booth watching the deck building, we were all very excited about Erin Campbell's deck. We thought maybe you guys would find that to be a big flavor win. Were our instincts correct?
I would say so. So Erin was working with Athreos, God of Passage, and she comboed that with a bunch of graveyard-related things.
Everything in her deck worked well.
Scholar of Athreos, of course. I enjoyed the Cavern Lampad. The commentators were sort of like, I guess Cavern, a cave, it's sort of I guess that would work for, you know, the underworld. But no, because Lampads are in fact the nymphs of the underworld. Very good catch there. And running Caves of Koilos as the white-black dual land instead of
Godless Shrine.
Godless Shrine, which many people did in a deck with a god, the Godless Shrine.
It doesn't work.
No.
You're not buying the argument that some people put forth that the god was working so hard that he could not man his shrine?
That seems weak.
Yeah.
I thought so as well, but
Yeah.
I figured I'd put it out there for you.
What is the wizard? Oh, sorry.
Well, just very quickly, it didn't factor into our scoring, the sideboards, just so you know, but kudos on your sideboard.
Yeah, I
was a
enjoyed
very
that.
good
I enjoyed that
sideboard.
Elspeth was in the sideboard because she did. not the main deck, just the sideboard. She's there, but she's not really doing much. Wizard.
Yes, this was an utter home run. Night and day from Bjorn's deck, I agree. The only Athreos deck not to use Godless Shrine. Kudos. Everything was themed on the underworld. Everybody was in Athreos' flavor zone. And not just the black-white cards from Theros Block. There was also 2 Spirit Bonds from M15, a lovely flavorful addition to what I thought was overall a successful deck on every level, and I hear she got 3 match wins as well. Aha, yes, it is possible to build a winning competitive deck that is also flavorful. Take note, other competitors, for you were lesser than she.
we wondered in the booth if this was a 24-point deck when we were watching it build.
And guess what?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Good job.
How did Frank Lepore do?
Oh, I have that in a different order. Frank, is that, no, the order we're running it on the, can we get a confirmation? I think it's in alphabetical order on the screen.
Okay, I have.
Are we on Paul Cheon?
Are we on Paul Cheon?
Cool.
Okay.
So
I will implement alphabet forward.
All right. So Paul had Yisan the Wanderer Bard, and went with a sort of a singing theme. He's the bard. He's the singing. He's not the only deck that we saw like this, but this had very good flavor. I specifically liked that while the deck included Kiora, it also had 3 of her fanboys, the Kiora's followers.
Yep.
And a one of Traveling Philosopher, which is a terrible creature in this deck, but the argument that Paul made was that a Wanderer Bard and a Traveling Philosopher are pretty similar in terms of their occupation. Don't really know what the Hornet Queen was doing in the deck, but
it works.
Sure.
I appreciated all the one-ups for Yisan. I thought that was a really good job. And again, you guys kind of made me laugh with the sideboards. The one of Thespian stage.
That's the only
card in the
one
sideboard.
card in the sideboard. Thespian stage.
Yeah. Very good.
Wizard.
I like this deck a whole lot as well. I felt as though I could hear the music being played by the bard. It's this kind of flavor that really brings the game to life in your imagination. Song lyres, swan songs, hypnotic sirens, siren of the fanged coast, siren of the silent song, seller of songbirds, the voice of resurgence, the shipwrecked singer. I mean, the list goes on and on that just fills our world with music. And we'll see that another competitor chose a similar line, but I gave this a favorable score as well.
Okay, and then this looks like everyone here really liked this. Not the highest scoring deck on the team, but 12 points. Equivalent of 4 match wins for Paul Cheon.
Good job.
So now we get to Frank Lepore.
Yes, now we get to
Now,
so
it's time to talk about Frank Lepore.
The only Chimera deck that embraced the idea of exchanging control of things. He had 4 Daring Thief, a Domestication, is whatever. Also a one of returning from last year Conjured Currency, just for added entertainment, I guess. But that didn't stop Pagliocco from getting in the deck, which you were being given some guff for on Twitter, I understand. only 2 of Pagliocco, unlike some other people we'll get to later.
But also, you're getting guff for the Elvish Mystic, the Sylvan Caryad. But overall, we like this deck.
There was also 3 Horizon Chimera.
That was very good.
Wizard.
Look, I gave this deck a point for the 4 Daring Thieves. There was 1 Conjured Currency, but I thought this was really a pile of trash. Look, last year it was Thragtusk. This year it is the Elvish Mystic, Sylvan Caryatid, Pagliocco ramp combo that has no place in this deck whatsoever. It was plopped here to ramp into big spells, and I'm sure you ate a lot of people's creatures with Pagliocco. But this was a blatant flouting of the Perplexing Chimera's flavor. I would have liked to have seen 4 Conjured Currency instead of 4 Sylvan Caryatid, but no, you had 1 currency and 4 Caryatid. I think that if there was an attempt at flavor here, it was a meek one, and so I gave him a 1 personally.
Yeah, it looks like Graham is the only person who saw a little deeper into Frank's deck, but that
I just loved creature exchanging. I was really impressed with the Daring Thief. No one else with the Chimera went that direction.
But we only come up with a 5 for the deck. How'd the deck do in play, Frank?
I went 3-0.
3-0, all right.
The 3-0 of shame. Okay.
Did we lose Nathan?
We might have lost our
Being very
cross-plane telecommunications.
The wizard may
is
return
very
soon.
challenging.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey!
Yeah.
the wizard returns.
There's a lot of trouble in the ether.
Yeah. There he is. He's back.
I'm okay. Scott MacCallum.
Right. So Scott had the twofer of Athreos and the Heroes Podium. Now there was that combination existed on both teams, and I don't know why, because both those decks seemed like they were fighting each other, because Athreos, the god of passage to the underworld, and the Heroes Podium are sort of at odds flavor-wise. For example, you've got one of King Makar here, and also Obnixilis. And sure, I guess those are, they're black creatures. Maybe they work a little bit with the underworld. There's not heroes, certainly. So, I don't know.
And I feel like I did this earlier, but 3 pack rats.
And the Godless Shrines, we talked about that.
And yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah.
So.
Is there no circumstance under which you find a pack rat acceptable?
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
I mean, they're carrion animals.
Yeah, right. They're carrion animals. They feed on the dead. That's Scott volunteering that.
As Graham noted, this was one of 2 attempts to cram Athreos and Podium into the same deck. Now, I know you have the challenge of putting 2 ingredients in the same deck. I wouldn't have chosen this. We've noted the Godless Shrine faux pas. But really, if you're going to put the Podium of Heroes into the Underworld, put it all the way into the Underworld. Why is Bramaz in this deck? Why is Brain Maggot in this deck? Why is Avacyn, Guardian Angel, in this Underworld Podium? I don't get it. Again, you got to push the Podium into the Underworld. The only place I wanted to push this deck was the toilet.
Okay. Well, so we have a total of 5 points for Scott's deck, and that brings us up to Mariah Pagliocco,
who had Athreos combined with Yisan, the Wanderer Bard. We had the Satyr Piper, Asphodel Wanderer, the voice of Resurgence, as was mentioned earlier. And there was certainly a lot of cards that mechanically interacted with things dying and going to the graveyard, but from a flavor perspective, didn't quite hit.
Again, with the Yisan, I appreciate the one-up. That's exactly what I was looking for when I heard that Yisan was going to be one of the ingredients, so I thought you did a really good job there. But I agree with Graham.
Necromancer? Wizard? Sir?
There was a couple of nice things. One of Asphodel Wanderer, Satyr Piper. These are things that combine nicely with Yisan and Athreos, respectively. But again, here we are, 4 Elvish Mystic, 2 Pelucranos, locks it on Snyder, Blood Baron of Vescopa. I wonder if you were trying to win games or if you were trying to please my palate. I would suspect it was the latter. I gave you a point because of the meager effort to throw in a couple of things, but again, I thought this one was a total dud. Sorry to be that guy, but I'm just going to be that guy.
Mariah, what did you predict you were going to get on flavor for this? I heard you doing your interview.
Probably 5 or less.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to report that you have exceeded your expectations with a whopping 6. Brings us to Cheon Plott, Mr. Day 9.
So Cheon had the Heroes Podium, and now come with me on this heroic journey. 4 Hero of Iroas, 4 Hero of Lina Tower, 4 Chronicler of Heroes, so their tales may be told, and then one-ofs of a series of legendary heroic creatures, because there may only be one of each of them, plus also 3 Heroes Return and 2 Solidarity of Heroes.
It was 3 Heroes Reunion.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
yes. 3 Heroes Reunion, 2 Solidarity of Heroes. Certainly not cards that are typically going to help you win games, but
kudos.
Yeah.
Everything Graham just said. Love this deck.
Wizard?
Yeah, I gotta agree with you guys. I thought this was a straightforward, clean Heroes Podium deck. No big surprises, but no errors either. Everything is green and white. It is the colors of heroism. Everything was above ground, which was refreshing. And I was going to give it a 3 because I thought it was a very straightforward deck, but I bumped it up to a 4 because there were 3 copies of the card Heroes Reunion in this deck, which has to be the worst spell that anybody has ever put 3 copies of into a Magic deck. And I thought this was definitely putting flavor above anything else. And yeah, very clean, straightforward. I gave it a 4.
So this was the 3rd highest scoring deck on the community team.
Top 3.
Top
Yeah,
3.
top 3.
It's also one of only 3 decks on the community team to score in double digits. So spoilers. Sean Plott, you got an 11.
All right.
Spoilers, Tom Ross, you did not get an 11.
So Tom had the Perplexing Chimera and Yisan the Wanderer Bard. And I'm just going to tell you a brief little anecdote of something that came up while the play was going on. I heard a joyous scream from an observer behind me as Tom resolved a Scuttling Doom Engine. And I questioned, why is Scuttling Doom Engine in your Perplexing Chimera Yisan the Wanderer Bard deck? And Tom said, well, I needed a 6-drop for Yisan. No, come on. No, buddy, that's not going to get you there.
Wizard.
Yeah, again, you know, the community team did not really put flavor first. You know, we don't want to single anybody out, but we're just noticing these trends. 4 Elvish Mystic, 4 Sylvan Caryatid. All right, what is Eidolon of Blossoms doing there? What is Court of Calling? Domri Raid, Chase, Lightning Strike. Come on, this is not, the only thing that's perplexing is the deck list itself. There was nothing chimeric or wandering about it. I mean, I gave him a 1 because of a couple of chimeras that he had, Goldforge Sentinel, Riptide Chimera. Satyr Piper, again, was a popular pairing with Yisan. So it wasn't a stone 0, but I think he knows he could have done better, and if he ever gets the chance at this again, maybe he'll think twice.
No points for a Bard deck striking a chord. Nothing. Judges.
Nobody.
You get a point for that, sir.
1 point
Thank
for
you.
Brian.
I will take it. Dom Ross, I would give you the point if I could. It would bring you to 5. You only have 4 points.
Yeah.
Sorry. But that brings a community total of 61 points. So that's the equivalent of, 20 match wins.
Yeah, not bad.
And a draw.
Yeah.
But that brings us now to the Wizards team. Wizards team has a lot of ground to cover here. They are behind, and they really. It seemed like Wizards team was flavor a real strategy for you guys here? Did you really decide to max out on flavor in order to maybe close that gap?
We kind of thought that was the point of this whole.
As Ryan says, we kind of thought that was the point. Yeah.
We certainly didn't max out on match wins.
Did not max out on match wins. So we're going to start out looking at Hélène Barjot's deck.
Yeah, so Hélène had Athreos, got a passage, and there was a. It seemed maybe a little unfocused, but I did like that there was a life link, life loss sort of ongoing theme throughout some of the cards in the deck.
I had some problems.
Yeah.
Godless Shrine we've already talked about, but then there's also the 4 of Evangel of Heliod, the 2 of Disciple of Phoenix, and the 1 of Mogus's Marauder. If you can explain how you brought all of these people together in one room and made them like each other, I will give you an extra point. That does not count.
Yeah. So the wrong god.
Marauders grants passage to the face.
There you get 1 more point. You get 1 more point.
All right, BDM's racking up 2 points so far.
I'm closing in on you, Tom Ross.
Wizard.
There were some nice things about this deck. The life loss theme was nice, but why then all this life link? That seems to me like a game-winning mechanic and not a flavor choice. Then, I don't know, like you guys pointed out, all these people worshiping the wrong god. There's cards like Oreskos' Sun Guide, who apparently wanted to go to the underworld for some reason. But I was going to give it a 1. I gave her a 2 for boldness, because this is one of the best collection of crappy creatures I've ever seen. Just the boldness of how unplayable these creatures are earned her an extra point in my book. Well done.
Yoked ox.
Yoked ox.
Yeah. So 5 points. You
Five,
ended
yeah,
up with there,
5 points total for Helen. Brings us up to, we have Aaron Forsythe.
So Erin took one for the team here, voluntarily choosing Perplexing Chimera and Whims of the Fates, and got some additional Chimera value in there: 4 Stormchaser Chimera, a Riptide Chimera, a Spellheart Chimera. Also, returning Coin Flip All-Star from the Community Cup last year of 4 of Goblin Test Pilot, which is impressive because it's the Whim of the Fate, it's the flip of a coin. Also the Goblin Kaboomist as well. So coin flipping the Whims of Fate, definitely a theme through the deck.
Yeah. Was Goblin Test Pilot his card? Aaron, you still here?
No,
No. Was that his card last year?
No, that was
Conjured
Tyrion's
Currency.
last
Oh,
year.
it was
Aaron had
Currency.
Conjured Currency,
That's
yeah.
true. But yeah, I love the return of Goblin Test Pilot myself. Wizard.
Yeah. It's very difficult to get a perfect score when you have 2 ingredients. You really are issued a challenge that the rest of the team doesn't have to deal with. That said, this was a wonderful effort. You've touched on the randomness, the chaos of the Test Pilot, the Kaboomist, and Jalira, Master Polymorphous. There were, of course, many chimeras. One thing that I wish we could have seen more of with the Chimera deck is something other than a word search for the word Chimera. I would have liked to have seen creativity across the board go beyond word searching in your Magic Online library. Little dinky minuses for Paragon of Fierce Defiance, Hall of Triumph. If there's a reason there and there, I'm not sure why, but overall, a wonderful effort. A fated infatuation I had with this deck, absolutely.
Yeah, this is tied for the second highest score among Flavor. 12 points to Aaron Forsythe, who's really proving to be a Ironroot Chef All-Star.
Indeed.
So
Absolutely.
next we have Matthew Gregory.
Right. So Matthew had the Perplexing Chimera solo, and there's 4 of the Perplexing Chimera, there's 4 Riptide Chimera, and then the whole rest of the deck is Sphinxes, just Sphinx everywhere.
Sphinges.
Sphinges? I'm gonna, so the including the Master of Predicaments, because you're perplexed. So Matthew was going in a direction of you are perplexed by the riddle of the Sphinx, that sort of thing. Also falling, I believe, unintentionally into actual Greek mythology, where in one interpretation of the mythology, the Sphinx is the offspring of the Chimera. So that's pretty good there.
But
But
Sphinx's revelation?
well, if your whole deck is Sphinxes, you
have to
might
have
as
it.
well.
Yeah, that's
Jace is my question.
All right, that's fair.
Wizard?
Yeah, I think this is a rare instance in which a constructed powerhouse such as Sphinx's Revelation actually does belong in this deck if he chose Sphinxes as the flavor of his deck. Now, I would love to know whether or not the knowledge of Greek mythology was present when making this decision, or whether it was unintentional genius. But for whatever reason, you made me look up Chimera in Wikipedia and find something a few paragraphs down that I did not know, and that is maybe the most flavor good feeling I had all night. I gave you a very good score, not a perfect score, but kudos to you for making me look up something on Wikipedia.
Wizard, I should just tell you, we get the chance to look in on the computers, on the desktops remotely of the players while they're working, and I did see Matthew Gregory editing Wikipedia during deck building.
Well, sometimes you need to just go that extra mile
At any
in
cost.
order to impress the judge. And if he wants to grease my palms with a little conjured currency, that wouldn't hurt either.
Okay, well, 10 points for Matthew Gregory. Very good score. And that brings us on to Dave Humphries.
So Dave had the Athreos Heroes Podium combo that we mentioned earlier. A challenging one, to say the least. And again, suffering from the same sort of problems of pulling the deck in two different directions, where there's King Makar and Omnixilus, who are not necessarily heroic, or Brimaz and Heliod, who are certainly not, relating to passage to the underworld. So sort of pulling in two different directions.
Yeah. Wizard?
Big whiz.
Yeah, agreed. It's a weird combination of ingredients to choose, but I think this deck did a decent job of pushing the podium to the underworld. There's a lot of one-ups, so I like having a lot of one-ups in a podium deck. That adds to legendary flavor, in my opinion. But your legends, Teza, Envoy of Ghosts, Erebus, God of the Dead, Tormented Hero, not a legend, but fits with the underworld theme. Not a perfect score, but I think a better job. Underworld connections, way to the underworld. Good job pushing this into the underworld.
So we get 8 points for Dave Humphries, and I can't help feel like that starts out almost going in a bad place just from the pairing, right? It's two foods that are in the basket that are just going to be really difficult to make work.
It's an odd taste. Yeah.
So after Dave, we have Tom Lepore.
So let me tell you something. So Tom had Heroes Podium. A lot of Heroes Podiums floating around. And Tom is the only person that we saw who took note of the art on Heroes Podium. You at home, look it up. You'll notice there's 3 figures standing on the art for Heroes Podium. And it is Anthausa, Setessan Hero, and Annex and Cymede. And boy, were they in that deck.
Yep. 4 ofs and 3 ofs.
Yeah. I really appreciate that the heroes on Heroes Podium were indeed the heroes in the deck. Also with the Johnny, their mentor of heroes.
Exactly. I was a big fan of the interactions between Kirkesh and Heroes Podium.
Yeah, Kirkesh, legendary creature.
Yeah, exactly.
And as Tom said to me, have you ever used Kirkesh to copy the ability of Heroes Podium? And I said I had not. And he said, it's really good.
And again, another great sideboard with the one-of a bunch of different awesome
Just 15 one-ofs of legendary creatures.
Yeah.
Wizard?
Yeah, agree with everything. I think you guys covered it very well. Tom has now created a new metagame for next year. I think you get big points for putting cards in your deck that are in the artwork. That just raises the bar. It really does. It's fantastic. And Kirkesh is a neat way to complement the podium. I do wish that the one-ofs were not in the sideboard. I wish they were more in the main deck, and that there were too many 4-ofs in the main deck. But if you're going to go 4-of, Anax and Cymede, 3-of Antausa are the ones to pick. So well done, Mr. Lepore.
And Tom Lepore tied for the 3rd highest score overall with 11 points.
Mm-hmm.
Great job by Tom. I think everyone has been really anxious to hear how you guys thought of Ryan Spain's deck.
Mm-hmm. So Ryan had Yisan, the Wanderer Bard, and we already saw Paul Cheon's deck, which worked with songs and singing and wandering and such. And Ryan took very much a similar tactic. There's a Seller of Songbirds, there's a Shipwreck Singer, Chorus of the Tide, Siren of the Silent Song, Warwing Siren, Cloaked Siren, lots of sirens. There's various souls. There's the Traveler's Amulet because he's wandering. There's the Glaring Spotlight because the spotlight is always on the bard. There's also 2 pack rats, only 2. We've seen some 4-ofs, we've seen some 3-ofs, only 2. And his defense of this is you have to harken back to the rat pack, which is why there has to be more than one. At least that's his reasoning. Personally, I think. And of course the Siren Song Lyre and the Springleaf Drum. I think my favorite include is probably the Glaring Spotlight.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And then again with the sideboard had nothing to do with it, but the sideboard was
beautiful.
Brilliant
Sideboard.
Crowd's Favor. 4 of Crowd's Favor, 1 of Hidden Strings, 4 Last Breath, and 4 Swan Song.
It's the encore.
It's the encore.
Last Breath, Swan Song, and Crowd's Favor.
That's
it's
very,
just so
very
good. Yeah.
So little surprise here based on.
Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is Ryan Spain has pretty much knocked it out of the park 2 years running. I'm ready to consider him an official Ironroot Chef All-Star. Congratulations. We gave you great marks.
15 points.
Yeah.
The full 5-match win equivalent for your efforts there. So great job. Lots of double-digit scores here on the Wizards team to try to catch up. So he brings us to Mike Torian.
Yeah, who had Whims of the Fates and was all about the Fates. 4 of Agent of the Fates and 4 of Fate Foretold, which not only is a good flavor combo, real effective in the games.
Yep.
Also, my personal favorite, while the deck was primarily was not necessarily, while the deck had sort of colors that it favored, and there was 4 of Fated Infatuation, there was also 1 of every of the Fated cycle. 1 Fated Conflagration, 1 Intervention, 1 Retribution, 1 Return, and 4 Prophetic Prisms.
Yes. And he had quite possibly the best use of Whims of the Fate in round 1.
That was a blowout
Yeah,
against
that was
Mr. Scotty Mac.
That was incredible.
Oh, that was when you got ruined by Whims
Yeah.
of the Fates. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'd already blocked it out of my mind.
Amazing.
He says he's already blocked
that. That was the best moment I've seen in Community Cup history. Yeah. So just to touch on what you guys said already, look at the artwork on Whims of the Fates. You see 3 hands stirring a bubbling cauldron, all right? We're talking about prophecies being spoken. Okay, so I liked that you went beyond just the word search for the word fate, but also the word search for the word prophet, prophetic prism, prophet of crucifix, prophetic flame speaker. These engine points, I didn't give him a perfect score because I want to see him go beyond word searching for creativity's sake, but very good score all around.
One could argue maybe 30 minutes more would help in that regard, but
look at
task, but we will raise you with a stern hand.
and look at the decks we did end up with. You know, there's some great ones out there.
and Mike Torian ends up with 11 points. Again, third highest total number of points we saw, and that brings us finally to Worth Wolpert.
All right, so Worth, I'm going to level with you. Not my favorite deck. It's not sure where we're okay. Well, Worth's not here, so all right.
Easy. That makes it really
So
easy.
don't pull any punches now.
I didn't like it.
It was terrible.
It was Yi-San, the Wanderer Bard, and Heroes Podium. My favorite thing about it is that the 2 Prime Speaker Zaganas, as the Prime Speaker, would theoretically be speaking at a podium. That's the best thing I can say about it.
Yep. All right.
James.
I'm going to leave it to the wizard because I have a feeling I know exactly what he's going to talk about.
He's got words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, somebody had to bring up the rear for the Wizards team, and I suppose it was going to be Worth. Well, here's my 2 cents worth. 4 Elvish Mystic, 3 Peluchronos, 4 Sylvan Caryatid. Why? And then, for a very weird reason, why is there a restock in this deck? There's something about the graveyard. It's not a creature for Yi-San, it's not legendary. And then on top of it, there's 2 Heroes Bane in the sideboard. So just so you know, that's bad for heroes. Right? Again, it seemed like a thoughtless word search for the word hero. I didn't even check to think it was actually bad for heroes. So Worth, I did not give you a high score, but I admire your work as a person. And so the Wizards team, I think, did very well on the whole. The question is, did they catch up all the way?
Yeah, I love the Prime Speaker Podium. That's probably my favorite sort of 2-card interaction in the flavor.
It's
but the rest of the
pretty
deck
good.
fell a little short. 6 points for Worth.
6 points for Worth, yeah.
So we have the point totals. Do you want to?
Well, we already said the community got 61,
and
Wizards came out of the judging portion
with 78.
with 78.
Okay.
So that's
So good job, Wizards
points.
team.
It's almost 6 matches made up, and and that means that the totals right now are Wizards 132 total points going into the last day of competition, and the community team with 151 points.
So
Okay, so we're going to send it back to the studio, and we're going to let these guys prepare for 6 more rounds of Community Cup action.
awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back.
Cool.
Randy, Marshall, we're over here. We got a chance to watch that ceremony. That was fun.
It was fun, but I expected Wizards to win by more.
They were too nice.
I mean, even listening to the judges, like they're like, this deck is awesome. This is the best deck ever, and it still only got an 11.
Yeah.
Like but there were no 15s.
There was a couple.
Oh, there were 2, right?
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. There was not that many. There was only a couple.
Where were the 14s?
Yeah, I was surprised too. I was really surprised. I thought that the judges were kind. I thought they were going to be a lot harsher. I felt like the Wizard was properly harsh.
Sure.
But we let a couple of Canadians in the judge booth, and they're too
you
nice.
look, the second highest score that the Wizards got was Aaron's 12, right? The 15 for Ryan, but then it was 12, 11, 11, 10. Like, it was hard to get 5 points, is I think what it came down to. Basically, both teams had a 15, and then both teams had a 12. And sure, Wizards turned a profit on, like, players 3 through 8.
Yeah.
But they only picked up 17.
But the floor just wasn't low enough. Like, if you just built, like, the lowest that they got was around the 3 to 5 point mark, right?
Yeah, 3 for Bjorn was the worst score.
Right.
4 for Tom, 5, 6.
But even some of them that got kind of lambasted ended up with, like, 6 points.
Right.
That's 2 match wins.
Yeah, no, the judging points, while there was a potential huge swing because of the 15 points available, the fact that most of the scores were in the, like, 6 to 11 range just meant that, you know what, the community team won Ironroot Chef.
Yeah, they figured it out.
They
had a read on the judges, and they got it. So
hats off to them.
Yeah, and they crushed the matches. So yeah.
Yeah, they crushed the matches by 42